Welcome back and welcome to Prospecting, the second video in the Master the Grant Lifecycle from Prospect to Execution series. This series, as a reminder, is hosted by River Network, and we are so grateful for the support of the Water Foundation and the Urban Waters Learning Network that has made this series possible. First, a quick overview of this video. In this video, we will focus on how to find, assess, and qualify funders or funding opportunities strategically, so you're spending less of your time on the wrong opportunities and more of your time on the right ones. We'll go over the 3 steps involved in prospecting that you saw in that process flow slide in the first video, and we'll provide tips and guidance and reference and introduce through links, tools that you'll see linked below this video that we've developed for the prospecting phase. So the first step of the prospecting phase is to identify prospects and opportunities. And first, a note on sources. So prospecting happens in a couple ways. First, passive. So your names come to you through board members, staff, peers, email alerts, or active. So you're out there researching and actively networking. Both of those are key. So you want your prospecting strategy, passive or active, to be intentional and to be well-rounded and to come from a variety of channels and sources. The second note here is on tracking. So to that point, prospects are coming to you at random, unplanned times, and you won't always and usually don't have time to dig in right away. So having a central place to capture those names as they come in is really key to being organized in your prospecting. So you can see that icon there. And when you see that, I want you to go to the notes below, and you'll see this as we move forward in the series. You'll see a resource below. So you can find a link and click through to where you'll find a prospect collector tool, and you should see instructions at the top for how to use it. And you're welcome to pause the video now or dig in after the video to see that parking lot, that collector that helps you keep and maintain those names until you're ready to dig in. And the final point here is to start with the end goal in mind. So make sure your processing aligns with your organization's funding and strategic needs. You want to focus on what's most important for your organization, whether that's areas of growth you want to see in the organization or gaps on the horizon, risks or opportunities that you're seeing in the larger funding landscape, or how fundraising connects to the strategic plan, and more immediately or granularly, your annual plan or the funding jigsaw that comes together to support your strategic priorities. The second step is to research and assess funding opportunities or funders. So before committing to pursuing a funding opportunity, you want to take the time to assess it. There's a temptation, especially with an ambitious deadline, to charge ahead with a proposal before fully vetting it. And we often find out later when we didn't get it that we weren't eligible or not terribly competitive. And if we did get it, we might be surprised by some of the strings and requirements associated with that would have been nice to know going into it. So to avoid that wasted effort, the first thing you want to do is to research and vet that opportunity. And that in itself can be tricky. What are you looking for? How do you gauge if you're competitive? And to really get a good grasp on those questions, I found it really helpful to take a checklist approach to this and use standard criteria that you're assessing all the funding opportunities that you're considering against. I've included some of that standard criteria here. And as you see, there's another icon here where you can see that criteria as part of a prospect, I'm calling a prospect profile. So you'll see that it's actually tab 2 on the file that you just opened up. And so it's called prospect profile. And you can see I've put some mock data in there just to give you a feel for how you can complete that. Just a note on this tool, you might use a CRM, and those are really valid and useful. I've used this tool in organizations that do, and I like this simple Excel tool at this stage for a number of reasons. First, it's there for everyone to see. Not everyone always logs in if they're not fundraising into a CRM, so everyone can view it, everyone can contribute it, you can edit it together, and most CRMs are just not that dynamic. So once you decide to move forward with a prospect, I often fold that information into the CRM at that stage. So you can kind of assess what works best for your organization. Second here, just a note on research sources. I know there are paid subscriptions out there that give us lots of great information on funders, but I just want to highlight that there is plenty of free information out there available to us that can build out and get all the information that we're seeking amongst that kind of good fit criteria. 990s are a great source. Funder websites and annual reports. If we have personal connection of folks who have insights, great place to tap. And if a funder offers a webinar, absolutely make sure you take that opportunity. There's typically always really critical advice and great insight into who else is going to also be applying on those calls. And finally, just a note to know when to stop. So if you're sensing that a funder isn't the right fit, move on. Often, if you have an instinct on the funder, it's the right one. The third and final step of the prospecting stage is a go, no-go decision. So if you've already opened up that prospect profile, prospect collector file, you'll see that go, no-go discussion is just under that profile. That's there to provide really easy viewing of that profile so that you can see that when you're having that go, no-go discussion. So in that go, don't go discussion, you're meeting with your key stakeholders, your core team, fundraising, programs, and finance. The person who collected that information is reviewing the information they gathered, summarizing it, answering questions, and then you're having a group discussion. You're assessing that prospect or that opportunity, you're making a decision. If the opportunity is a go, you'll outline next steps. Any of those steps listed below. A next step could also be, we don't have enough information yet. We need to do X, Y, Z in order to make a decision. And a final note here, this is also just a good point to introduce the fundraising sync-up meeting. So as I mentioned in the first video, we recommend 3 meetings through the whole grant management process, and this go, no-go meeting can kind of fit really neatly in one of them called the fundraising sync-up. We call the fundraising sync-up. And the agenda for that meeting is also available in the link below, and you'll hear me continue to refer to it because the purpose of that meeting is really many-fold and encompasses all aspects of the grant management process, from prospect work that we're looking at now to proposal development and grants underway. So you'll take a look through that agenda and you'll hear me continue to reference it in the subsequent phases. So that concludes our review of the prospecting stage. We've talked about the different steps of that, the 3 different steps, and covered those different tools that support the prospecting process. Up next is the proposal development process, tips, guidance, and tools as well. So thank you so much for joining us for this session, and look forward to seeing you over in proposal development.